Imagine a cold so deep it feels like it's biting through your skin. You are miles from civilization, surrounded by a forest that seems to be watching you. Suddenly you hear a voice, a familiar voice, calling your name from the shadows. But as you step toward the sound, you realize something is wrong. The air grows thin, the smell of decay fills your lungs, and you realize you aren't being rescued. You're being hunted by something that hasn't eaten in 100 years. Welcome to the unseen world. Here we peel back the veil of the modern day to look at the shadows that have haunted humanity for centuries. Today we journey into the frozen heart of the Great North, to a land where the line between man and monster is as thin as a layer of winter ice. We are exploring the legend of a being born from greed, isolation, and an insatiable hunger. This is the story of the entity known to the ancient keepers of the woods as the spirit of the starving winter. To understand this mystery, we have to look at the environment that created it. For thousands of years, the vast forests and tundra of North America have been home to cultures that respected the harshness of the seasons. In these communities, survival wasn't a choice, it was a collective effort. According to long-standing oral traditions, this creature isn't just a monster found in the woods. It is a manifestation of a broken taboo. In the folklore of many northern indigenous groups, it is said that this being was once a human. However, during times of extreme famine, when the snow was too deep to hunt and the stores of food had vanished, a terrible choice would sometimes be made. It is suggested in many stories that if a person succumbed to their darkest impulses and consumed the flesh of another to survive, they would lose their humanity forever. They didn't just survive, they were transformed. Tradition tells us that at that moment an ancient malevolent spirit would enter the person, turning their heart into ice and replacing their soul with a hunger that can never be satisfied. So, what does this entity actually look like? While modern media often portrays it with the head of a deer or massive antlers, traditional descriptions are much more unsettling. In the oldest stories, the being is described as a distorted reflection of a human. It is said to be incredibly tall. Some stories say it grows in size every time it eats, meaning it can never feel full. Its skin is often described as pale or gray, stretched so tightly over its bones that it looks like a skeleton wrapped in parchment. Its eyes are pushed deep into their sockets, glowing with a faint, unnatural light, and its lips are often tattered or missing entirely, worn away by its own constant gnashing teeth. But the physical horror is only part of the legend. Folklore suggests that this being carries the scent of death with it, a smell of decay that precedes its arrival. It is said to be a master of the environment, moving with impossible speed despite its emaciated frame. There is a fascinating psychological layer to this mystery as well. Historically, some communities spoke of a sickness of the mind that could take hold before the physical change even occurred. It would begin with nightmares, followed by a burning sensation in the chest, and finally a total loss of empathy. It is important to approach these accounts with balance. While modern science looks at these stories through the lens of cabin fever or extreme psychological stress caused by isolation, for those who lived in these regions, the threat was felt as something very literal. It served as a powerful social warning. The moment you put your own survival above the life of your neighbor, you risk becoming the very thing you fear. Beyond its appearance, there are specific chilling details that appear across different accounts of this being. One of the most terrifying is the claim of mimicry. Some stories suggest that the creature can perfectly imitate the sound of a human voice. It doesn't scream or growl, instead it whispers. It might use the voice of a lost child or a friend calling for help from the tree line, drawing its prey away from the safety of the fire and into the darkness. There is also the ice heart phenomenon. In many legends, the only way to truly stop this entity is to melt its heart, which is said to be made of solid ice. This detail is significant. It symbolizes the idea that the creature is the literal embodiment of winter itself. It is cold, relentless, and lacks any warmth of human emotion. Perhaps the most mysterious aspect is its relationship with the wind. Some traditions say that the creature can be called by the wind, or that it travels upon it, appearing out of nowhere during a blizzard and disappearing just as quickly when the sun rises. There is no solid evidence for these supernatural abilities, of course, but the consistency of these details across different regions is what makes the legend so enduring. Today, the legend has traveled far beyond the northern forests. It has become a staple of horror cinema and campfire stories. But for many, the meaning of the creature has shifted. In a modern context, some look at this being as a metaphor for corporate greed or environmental destruction. It represents the consumer who takes more than they need, destroying their environment and themselves in the process. We see its influence in books, video games, and even in the names of landmarks. However, in the communities where these stories originated, the figure remains a symbol of deep respect for the power of nature. It is a reminder that even in our modern world where we have heaters and grocery stores, we are still vulnerable to the elements and to the darker corners of our own nature. So, what are we to make of this legend? Is it a literal spirit that stalks the snowy wastes? Or is it a psychological shadow, a way for our ancestors to process the trauma of survival in an unforgiving world? While there is no scientific proof of a physical creature matching these descriptions, the power of the story is undeniable. It is a mystery that survives because it speaks to a universal truth, the fear of losing oneself to the darkness within. If you were pushed to your absolute limit, lost in the freezing dark, how much of your humanity would you be able to hold on to? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember to subscribe to The Unseen World, where some secrets are better left in the shadows.